teenagers come... I've wanted to make this video for a long time, but just haven't had the time or the ability to do it. You see, I've been watching anime for 3 years now, and in that time, I've watched a large variety of anime, all with varying quality, enjoyment, and expectations. Expectations are an important emphasis, because a lot of the time, personal expectations can completely dictate how you view a certain piece of media. Nowadays, I always try to go into a new anime, movie, video game, etc. with as blank expectations as possible, with an open mindset. It wasn't always like this, however, because there were times in my early anime watching career when I went in with low expectations and was completely taken by surprise by how good it ended up being. Then there were other times where I had unusually high expectations, perhaps because of good reviews, or if it had a concept that I was really interested in. And because of those high expectations, I was completely smacked in the face with the reality that a certain anime didn't live up to those expectations, perhaps by not fulfilling what I was personally looking for. My first time watching Angel Beats was an epiphany in my anime watching career, as it showed to me that a show with generally high praise and a solid concept wasn't always going to be an anime that I would end up enjoying to the extent I initially wanted. When I watched Angel Beats, I was expecting a heart-wrenching, emotional anime with somewhat satisfying payoff. My first viewing, I ended up enjoying most of it, but there was something missing. Something that kept me from enjoying it fully. Something that kept me from being as emotionally invested as I felt I should have. For about a year and a half, I kept thinking about it, and have come to a revelation. Angel Beats was not only a huge disappointment, but an absolutely tragic waste of extremely high potential. As a lot of people know, Angel Beats is an anime made in 2010 made by anime studio PA Works. It's a story about a high school student named Yuzuru Otonashi who had just died and was sent to the afterlife, which is a high school. Because of course it is. He finds himself caught in the middle of a conflict. A group of students who call themselves the Afterlife Battlefront, and the Afterlife High School's student body president Kanade Tachibana, who has strange supernatural powers and is nicknamed Angel or Tenshi. Otonashi has amnesia, and as such has no memory of the life he lived before dying. And so, with basically no other choice, Otonashi joins the Afterlife Battlefront in hopes of finding answers as to what happened in his previous life and why he's here in the first place. That's the furthest I can explain this anime without going into major spoilers. So if you haven't watched this anime, I really urge you to watch it yourself so you can organically gather your own opinions on it. I'll give you 10 seconds to leave right now and come back after you've watched the whole thing. If you've already watched it, or if you really just don't care and want to know what I think regardless, continue the video as normal. Alright, you watched it, right? Let's do this. Ever since this show first aired, it has been showered in praise, and very few people really came out and criticized it. As of the time that I'm making this, Angel Beats sits at a very comfortable 8.22 rating on my anime list, as well as being ranked 11th in terms of popularity. I find this somewhat strange, as I honestly don't see that many people talking about it, nor do I hear people starting any conversations around it. This anime does, however, get constantly compared to Clannad, Your Lie in April, and Anohana as saddest anime of all time. Main reason for this is its themes on death and its portrayal of tragic events and how the main characters deal with these events. Angel Beats mainly explores premature death, specifically when someone dies young with lingering regrets or without a chance to leave a mark on the world. The high school setting is a reflection of this, as all the characters in the show are characters who died during adolescence, a very important time during someone's life, a time where people tend to look for a purpose in their lives. A lot of the time when we see premature death in movies, it's usually from the perspective of someone else, and the reaction towards the death of a certain person, such as a friend or a loved one. This is because dead people are, well, dead. Angel Beats is somewhat unique in this department, as the story is told from the perspective of someone who had just died and is currently living and was basically purgatory. From here we can explore exactly how someone would feel and how they would cope with their own death, which concluded what they felt to be an unfulfilling life. So as a concept, teenagers coming to terms with their own death and finding peace before being able to pass on to the next life is amazing. That's a concept. So what's the problem? Basically everything. Okay, so that's kind of unfair. Angel Beats is by no means the worst anime I've ever watched. In fact, it's kind of a stretch to say it's even bad. But I mean, I can't really say that it ended up being good either. There are a lot of problems with the show, from the inconsistent tone, the weird pacing, the mediocre humor, the poor character building, the sloppy world building, the huge plot holes. It's embarrassing how rushed and poorly put together this show feels. This anime is genuinely well made and somewhat engaging in some places, but that doesn't matter when the plot makes no sense and the characters are as shallow as a puddle from a drink spilt on the floor. There's a lot to talk about and tons of layers to uncover, so I will segment this video into several parts and go over the parts where this show fails. Also the parts where it succeeds, because, surprise, not everything is black and white. This anime has some absolutely beautiful animation in it. I was surprised to learn that this anime was made all the way back in 2010, almost 10 years ago. The colors, the shading, and the backgrounds are all really beautiful. Like seriously, if you told me this anime was from 2014 or 2015, I would have believed you. That doesn't seem like a big time difference, but it's actually really surprising just how much in general animation quality has improved in the last decade. Maybe it's because of anime being more popular and mainstream, so that anime studios tend to have more to spend on the animation quality in other aspects. The voice acting is also stellar as well. The big standout performance for me was Hiroshi Kamiya as Otonashi. I thought it was a bit distracting that the person who voiced the main character in this sometimes serious and sometimes emotional anime about death and the afterlife was also the guy who voiced fucking Araragi from Monogatari series. This guy has the same voice as this guy. Though it's kind of funny, I got over this pretty quickly, as his performance was genuinely great. I don't speak Japanese, so I don't have a complete understanding of the nuance of Japanese voice acting. Hell, I don't have a complete understanding of the nuances of English voice acting either. You can tell he gave it his all, especially in the more emotional scenes. For the most part, Kana Hanazawa did pretty well as Kanade, but really it's Kana Hanazawa, of course she did well. But overall, she did great. I wouldn't call this her best role, not even close. Other good performances were Harumi Sakurai as Yuri, and even Miyuki Sawashiro as Iwasawa, even though she had like one episode where she was actually important. The music is really fucking good. Like legit one of the best soundtracks I've heard in my anime watching career. Not just talking about the OP and ED, which are both absolutely phenomenal and thematically appropriate, but also the original score. I really don't like a lot of the emotional scenes in this show, but goddamn do they actually come close to getting me with just the story alone. There are some seriously great tracks in this anime, such as Ichiban no Takaramono, which serves as an amazing emotional tone setter for the endings of both episode 10 and episode 13. The songs from Girls Dead Monster are great, such as Crow's song and especially my song. Also, can we fucking talk about that leitmotif that plays in basically every other track in this OST? It plays a lot, but every single time, it does so much to enhance the scenes. The music is the best part of this anime, full stop. If the soundtrack wasn't this good, this anime would be way worse than it already is. So that's almost all the positive stuff I have to say about this anime. Now let's cover the stuff I don't like, which is basically everything else. What the hell is going on in this show? Like, I've watched this anime 3 goddamn times and I still can't really make sense of it. I've already told you the setup of the story, but I'll just do a synopsis of the plot itself so we can refresh our memories of exactly what happens. Okay, this isn't a synopsis at all. At the time of writing that, I didn't know how long this part was going to be, but no, this is not a synopsis. I'm going over the entire show in detail, alright? Let's do this. Otonashi wakes up in the middle of a high school and he has amnesia, but then this weird girl with a gun goes, "Hey you're finally awake," and explains a bunch of crap to him. Someone who literally does not remember what happened and doesn't know why he's here in the first place. Then he goes up to Tenchi in the middle of a fight, asks her to kill him, and then he fucking dies. Then he wakes up in Battlefront HQ. They go, "Hey you're finally awake," again. And then he joins the Afterlife Battlefront. Also, can I just say, they have like the worst fucking end goal ever. They destroy Tenchi and then what? Live the rest of eternity in purgatory, never to ever pass and find peace? That sounds fucking terrible. Like, I know their end goal is intentionally supposed to be terrible and unachievable, but why is Otonashi the first person to question it? He literally doesn't remember anything, yet he has way more common sense than anybody else here. Well, anyway, as I was saying, they go on a mission just to be assholes to the normal students by stealing their lunch tickets because, they can? And then the episode ends. Next episode, they go down to the guild where they make all the... Alexa, stop. Next episode, they go down to the guild where they make all their weapons because apparently it's in danger or something, I don't know. Everyone fucking dies, and then we get Yuri's backstory, which is legitimately sad and tragic, but we don't know Yuri nearly enough for it to actually hit us close to home. I can't believe I'm actually going to say this, and I'm sorry if this comes off as very tasteless, but like, why should I care if your entire family was murdered in front of you? It could be genuinely heartbreaking if we actually had more time to get to know Yuri as a character before being told what her life was like, instead of being given a miniature info dump 2 episodes in. Same thing happens in episode 3, but with a character we know even less about. At the very least, her backstory was actually way more relatable and personal than Yuri's was, but only because Yuri's backstory is a bit over the top and frankly horrifying, which many characters point out. We also aren't even told how Yuri even died in the first place. She says that she didn't commit suicide, so we can rule that one out. But then again, she could also be straight up lying about it. For all we know, she could have been isekai by good old-fashioned Truck-kun, or accidentally hanged herself with a microphone stand like Yui did that one episode. In episode 4, the characters play baseball? What? What's the point of this? Is it to flesh out Hinata as a character because he played baseball when he was alive? You know there's a better way to do this instead of making the characters play in a completely pointless and arbitrary baseball tournament with absolutely no strategic or narrative significance. Then in episode 5, they do a bunch of bullshit to try to sabotage Kanade's exams to make her be forced to resign as student body president. This episode was really, really stupid in terms of humor and execution, and I hate how it actually does have a significance to the plot. Honestly, at this point, you just start to feel bad for Kanade and realize this is really just elaborate bullying. That's what it is. Bullying. So then Kanade goes to get Mabo Tofu because she's really sad or something. Because Otonashi is a nice guy, he decides to go with her because he actually treats her like a human being. All while this little shit, his name is Nolly by the way, becomes the student body president and bullies everyone because Kanade was the only one keeping him in check. This goes on for literally 1 episode. Then Otonashi gives him some inspiring words and shit, and now he's no longer evil. Also, we get his backstory of how he became such a little shit. It's really basic inferiority complex story, kind of pathetic to be honest. Next episode, Otonashi gets his memory back, more on that later. Decides to stay with the Battlefront and then they go fishing.
What the hell is with this pacing?
For being given the only truly heartbreaking and emotional backstory in the anime and now they're going fishing? I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with detours in a story as long as it's handled properly, but to me it happens way too quickly after such a vital scene. Whatever. After they go fishing, turns out, there are now 2 Kanades for some reason, and this Kanade is evil, unlike the real one.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Next episode, the real Kanade gets kidnapped and turns out there's not just 1, but like 100 Kanades. So they go back to the guild, everybody dies again, then they rescue her. All the clone Kanades are gone now too. So now, what was the point of that? Seriously, what was the point of that? There were no important plot points or character building moments in this episode. It's just, now they're a bunch of evil Kanades, and now they have to defeat them for some reason. It's like the screenwriters or storyboarders had no idea what to do with the story at this point, so they just made shit up as they went along. Whatever. Okay, next!
Hey, you! You're finally awake.
Otonashi finally gets all of his memories back now, and finally finds out what the afterlife is and why it exists. Which is actually a pretty good realization scene, to be honest. Give credit where credit's due. But it's kind of frustrating how the only reason nobody else learned this is because Kanade fucking sucks at doing her job of reforming them. Don't just take it from me. The anime literally states this as well.
どんだけ不器用なんだよ、お前。知ってる。自覚は。
So from this, Otonashi and Kanade end up joining forces, and Otonashi basically becomes a devil agent. The goal of making everybody disappear and pass on to the next life by fulfilling their desires and fixing their regrets they couldn't fix while they were alive. Episode 10. Otonashi's first target is Yui, who is a character who has been a pretty present force in the past several episodes, but you don't know what her backstory is or why she's the way she is. And as much shit as I give this anime, this episode is actually really good. I think it might be the best episode in the entire series. It has a lot of character building moments, and the humor isn't actually that bad and doesn't feel ham-fisted. I will say it's kinda dumb that Hinata comes at the end is basically like, I know this entire show I have hated you and always thought you were an annoying piece of shit, but because we have to move the plot along and fulfill Yui's dream of getting married, I'm going to show up out of absolutely nowhere and say that I love you and want to marry you. Also, here's a somewhat emotional montage of a what-if scenario where we meet each other in real life and fall in love. I mean, it's a cute ending to a pretty decent episode. Can't really complain all that much. Episode 11 is when things start to get even more confusing. So these shadow things show up for some reason because I guess we need more conflict, and they basically turn people into NPCs, devouring their souls. Yuri ends up finding out that Otonashi is working with Kanade to obliterate everyone, and basically calling for the disbandment of the Afterlife Battlefront once the threat of the shadows has been eliminated. Next episode, Yuri goes off alone and finds a lead where they're coming from, finding herself in the guild again. She almost dies and has this weird stream or flashback where she's assimilated into the school environment, but then realizes what's happened and gives this pseudo-emotional soliloquy about how much life sucks. She wakes up and finds herself saved by Otonashi, Hinata, Kanade, and Naoi. How the fuck did they know she was there? The anime never properly explains this. Apparently, Kanade felt she was in danger, I guess, and somehow found her exact location. Like, okay. Then we get to what I think is the worst scene in the entire anime. Yuri goes off and finds where the big bad guy is being held, and it ends up being this weirdo who I guess is an NPC created by someone who he calls the programmer. This one scene is basically a gigantic info dump explaining things that doesn't need to be explained and creating more questions than it answers. This scene completely destroys this anime's world building in the most spectacular way imaginable. Then we get one of the worst fake outs I've ever seen in my life. For like 10 seconds the anime wants you to believe that Yuri turns evil and wants to become God. Seriously, what the fuck? You really thought someone was gonna fall for that? What is the goddamn point? This scene was meant to be an end to Yuri's arc, where after this she finds peace and has a reason to pass on and being reincarnated. But of all the ways to end it, this has to be one of the worst ways to do it. First of all, the existence of the shadows. Why? For the love of God, why do these things need to exist? What do they add to the universe? What do they add to the plot? How do they create conflict and incentive to finish the story that could have been done way better if they just scrapped these things entirely and created a final conflict that actually made sense and was inserted organically? Next, the existence of the programmer, the person who created the shadow things. Apparently, he came into the afterlife due to a glitch, where someone who would have otherwise had a fulfilling life and had been able to be reincarnated instead gets sent here due to getting amnesia. He then creates a patch using basically the same software that Kanade uses to solve this specific issue. But guess what? It doesn't work! Because fucking Otonashi is here! It's directly said that Otonashi lived a fulfilling life and died fulfilling his desire to help someone. So why is he here? Why didn't the shadows just immediately consume him and turn him into an NPC? Next, they say that the reason the shadows reacted this time was because of the presence of love or something. If someone falls in love and doesn't get obliterated, it would completely destroy the purpose of the afterlife, as they're meant to graduate or to pass on in peace. Okay, where did it come from? Was it from Yui and Hinata? That can't be the case because Yui literally passed on because of it. And as we see, Hinata seems perfectly content as well. He's just choosing not to go because he thinks he has unfinished business, which is helping Otonashi achieve his goal. Well, apparently, the anime says that Yuri was a source, as her love was her desire to leave the battlefront to protect her friends, as an extension of her desire to protect those she cares about that came from when she failed to protect her siblings who all died when she was alive. But where did that come from? Where? The shadows came out of fucking nowhere. There was no major event from episode 10 to episode 11 that would have caused this. Someone please explain this to me, because I watched this anime 3 goddamn times, and this doesn't make any sense. Apparently, I'm too fucking stupid to get this. Or maybe, just maybe, these shadow things were a stupid idea to begin with and shouldn't have interfered in the plot in the first place. But now, we get to the final episode. This episode is such a disappointment. It all starts off with yet another
Hey, you're finally awake.
When Yuri passed out, destroying all the computers that were causing the shadows. Everybody else decided to leave and get obliterated since the shadows were gone, except for Yuri, Otonashi, Kanade, Hinata, and Naoi. They were waiting for Yuri to wake up so they can have a graduation ceremony or something. So they have a graduation ceremony, and we get some sweet words from each of the characters, yada yada. Everyone then leaves except for Otonashi and Kanade. Early on, back in episode 9, where we are shown that Otonashi donated his organs before he died so they could help someone even in death. Cool, nice, good. But now, in this final scene, it's revealed that the person his heart was donated to was fucking Kanade.
Excuse me, what?
What the actual fuck? Do you guys know how time works? This means that Otonashi died before Kanade, and if that's the case, why was Kanade here before him? In fact, it can be assumed that she was here before basically everybody. How the fuck did Otonashi appear here years after he died? And don't give me that, oh, time works differently in this universe crap. If that was the case, they would have clearly said or implied it. You simply do not make up plot twists on the spot and rely on your audience to fix the plot holes that it creates. That's lazy, and it's just straight up bad storytelling. I might have actually cried if this stupid fucking plot twist didn't rip away any and all suspension of disbelief. Like, apparently, the only reason she's here is because she never got to thank her organ donor. What organ? Oh, what's an organ? Like, apparently, the only reason she's here is because she never got to thank her organ donor. Really? That's it? That's all we get from her in terms of backstory? Are you kidding me? Now, Otonashi asks Kanade to stay with him in the afterlife, so that I can look over the new lost souls and guide them towards graduation, and so that another afterlife of Battlefront doesn't come into existence.
Like that's ever gonna happen. What a load.
Kanade says thank you to Otonashi for barely prolonging her life, that she fucking leaves like that.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
I swear to God, this ending is so stupid, I'm going to lose my shit laughing at it. Like, my God, these last 3 episodes were a narrative faceplant of epic proportions. I wanted to be nice to this anime for basically the entirety of watching it, till I got to these last 3 episodes. How do you fuck up an ending this badly? But that's not it. Oh no, we still got more things to cover. This anime is just not funny at all. It's kind of sad, really. This might be one of the more controversial segments of the video since humor is subjective, but to me, there are barely any jokes that actually made me laugh, like at all. 90% of this anime's humor comes from cheap slapstick, playing on the fact that since all the characters are dead, none of them can actually die. Which means we get dry reactions to gruesome situations and a lot of silly, over-the-top, haha funny scenes where characters get hurt in very over-the-top and silly ways. The anime also goes for absurdism a lot of the time as well, like in the scene where the guy with the glasses takes off his shirt and appears buff.
I am absolutely covered from the neck down in my homemade concoction, combination of lube and tanning oil.
Another annoying thing is that almost everybody is a fucking idiot. It's obviously played for laughs, but seriously, it wouldn't be a problem if only 1 or 2 characters are exceptionally stupid. No, everyone is stupid. Hinata, Yui, that guy with the glasses, Ninja Girl, that guy with black hair, the angry dude with the halberd, that one big guy who loves beef bowls. Everyone is stupid! Like seriously, the only characters with any common sense are Otonashi and maybe Yuri. Remember what kind of anime this is supposed to be? It's meant to be a serious and emotional show with layers and complex themes on death. So why is the humor this ridiculous and over the top? Serious anime like this are supposed to have pockets of humor. Pockets of humor that are only called upon when it's appropriate. This anime jarringly switches between serious and not serious all the time, and it's really distracting. I really don't have anything else to say. This show is just really unfunny. Sorry. I really wish this wasn't the case, since at a very basic level, the characters are at the very least likable. The problem is that none of them get the proper development that they deserve. I've complained about how poorly Yuri's arc was handled, but there are other characters who I think have gotten fairly shafted. Iwasawa, the original singer of Girls Dead Monster, had only one episode to herself and then she's gone. Hinata never had any distinct role other than, I guess, minor support. His backstory doesn't really have much to do with his character, nor does it really dictate a lot of his actions. Ayato was a big missed opportunity, since I felt he had the potential to be a somewhat threatening and compelling antagonist, at least before Otonashi gives him those inspiring words that suddenly turn him good and repent for his moral deeds. Like, his reign of terror only lasted one episode, and after that he becomes a fucking doormat. It's pathetic. And then there are the lesser characters. And sure, not all characters have to have complex backstories or motivations, but none of the side characters have any real reason for the things they do. Why is the guy with the halberd so angry? Why does Ninja Girl here say Asahaka Nari every 5 seconds? Literally, what character traits do the kid with a girly voice and the guy with the glasses have, other than being meek and stupid respectively? The only two characters that I think were given adequate development and satisfying conclusion were Otonashi and Yui. Otonashi, being the protagonist, had amnesia at the beginning of the story. I think this is a good move, since we relate to Otonashi, as we the audience know about just as much of what's going on as he does. When he does get his memories back, that's when everything starts to make sense. There needed to be more backstories like this. Otonashi's arc worked because we had several episodes of him not remembering the life he had before dying, and once he got his memory back, it dictated every single decision he made during that time, and made him want to truly help those that he could. Episode 10 was Yui's episode, where we learned that she was paralyzed during her final years and was unable to move and live normally like others her age. This also works because we also get this several episodes after she was introduced, and so we start to understand why she wants to do so many things. If every major character in this series had a compelling and satisfying arc as these two, this anime's quality would absolutely skyrocket. But there's one character that I intentionally haven't mentioned yet. This character, oh my god, this character. I present to you the most disappointing and poorly written character in the entire goddamn anime. Kanade Tachibana. When I say Kanade is a horribly written character, I am not joking. Kanade is arguably the second most important character in the entire anime, and she has absolutely no interesting and compelling aspects about her. She literally has no personality to speak of. Kanade is fucking boring. Nothing about her works. We aren't told a single thing about her as a person, other than at the very end where we find out that her life was prolonged by Otonashi's organ donation. And I've already told you why that plot point was stupid. Okay, fine. I guess what the writers wanted was to have her appear as mysterious, and so we learn about more as the story goes on. But guess what? We learn jack shit about her! She's the only major character in the entire anime who has no backstory whatsoever. Why? Her nickname is part of this anime's fucking title! Why does she have no arc? Why does she have no personality? Why is she this poorly written? This isn't just ineptitude. This feels like pure laziness. Even this anime's incredibly short 13-episode time span, you could have, at the very least, given her a basic backstory like Hinata or Naoi. It would have probably sucked, but it would have been better than what she currently has, which is nothing. You want a discernible backstory and arc for this mega important character? Sorry.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Seriously, give her an interesting personality, a simple backstory, a simple arc, something. Just give her something. Not this. I legitimately do not understand why this character is so popular. She's as shallow as a puddle and as compelling as a slab of concrete. I wouldn't be this mad if this was the case for like one side character who we don't see or hear from at all. But no, she is literally one of the most important and vital characters in the story, and she has no compelling qualities at all. Why PA works? Why do you have to do this? It makes no sense! Why would you spend so much fucking time on dumb, inconsequential stuff like a bunch of angel clones and these fucking shadow things and spend zero time developing such an important and central character? What the fuck is wrong with... Oh, sorry about that. I got carried away. Now, after all that, do I think this anime is absolutely terrible? No, not really. There are some good parts, and there are some bad parts. That's kind of how it is. The problem with this anime is just how much of a colossal and absolutely tragic waste of potential it is. At almost every single significant emotional scene, I can feel a good anime trying to come out and give us a genuinely compelling and moving story, but it falls flat on its face at almost every turn, for the reasons I've already pointed out. It's such a goddamn shame because with the right changes and touches, this anime could absolutely become a masterpiece if it wanted to. This anime has so many tragic events take place, but the most tragic event of all was how it was handled. The pieces are all there. They're all here for PA Works to make something truly beautiful. Interesting and original concept? Check. Compelling themes? Check. Great music, animation, very talented voice actors? You fucking bet your ass I'm giving those a check. When I initially watched this anime for the first time, I had every reason to believe it was going to be good. Horrible mistake. I would honestly love if someday PA Works or some other anime studio remade or rebooted this anime and made it actually, well, good. You know, the whole Fullmetal Alchemist treatment. Honestly, now that I thought about it, I think it's somewhat accurate to compare Angel Beats and 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist. They both have good concepts, animation, voice acting, music, and themes, but they are both plagued by bad writing and dumb endings. Now, if you love this anime, I truly understand. I really do. I'm glad that you're able to find enjoyment in something I couldn't, but I hope I made some of you understand why I think this anime is of overall subpar quality and is such a huge waste of potential. So now, if you're tired of me being so negative talking about an anime I hate, next video I'm going to talk about an anime I love.
今日のパンツ占い。緑のパンツは嵐の予感。